Buddy, I'm coming to you from Fifth Hour in room 111, and I want to talk about the test tomorrow. I want to talk about what's on the test. I want to talk about the outcomes of the War of 1812. So here we go. The outcomes of the War of 1812 is, if you're an American, most of us believe we won that war. We won the War of 1812 because it ended with the Battle of New Orleans that Andrew Jackson won, and that it seemed to be a decisive victory. I mean, 2,000 British soldiers were killed or wounded, and under 100 Americans were killed or wounded. So this was a huge victory right at the end of the war. So I think you got to remember that the casualty count for Americans was really, really low in this battle. One of the outcomes of the War of 1812, how did it shake out in the end? Well, number one, the Indian resistance in the West was pretty much eradicated. We took out Tecumseh and his followers, and pretty much from there, the settlers had control of the western states like Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Another outcome of the war is the blockade made us more self-sufficient. In other words, because we couldn't buy things from other countries, we had to make them ourselves. And that was a major aspect to us growing after the War of 1812. A third thing that made us really happy about the War of 1812 and its outcome is the Star-Spangled Banner and other nationalistic things that came out of the Star-Spangled Banner. The Star-Spangled Banner was written about the defense of Fort McHenry, and it showed a lot of patriotism for America, and this was a huge victory. And so the nationalism is an aspect, the resistance on the frontier is an aspect, and the self-sufficiency caused by the blockade was an aspect. Next thing I want to talk about the test. The test has different subjects on it. It talks about Washington's farewell address. Tells us to stay out of foreign alliances. It talks about the XYZ affair. It talks about why the British and the French were raiding our ships. It talks about the embargo, Jefferson's embargo idea that actually really hurt American businesses and hurt people's jobs. It talked about impressment and how the British thought that it was okay to impress these guys because they were just British deserters anyway. The one thing that I haven't talked about in class that I'd like to talk about is the Warhawks. And what a Warhawk is somebody who wants the country to go to war for one reason or another. We had a lot of Warhawks in our country, and they wanted us to attack Canada so we could take over Canada. And these Warhawks weren't soldiers, they were politicians that wanted us to go to war. The last thing it talks about is the Monroe Doctrine, and I'll just touch on this briefly. The Monroe Doctrine was made by James Monroe. He was president basically from about 1818 to about 1824, I think, somewhere around there. Anyway, Monroe made it clear that Spain could not come over and recolonize Mexico, could not recolonize anywhere in Latin America, and kind of made us the policemen for the Western Hemisphere. So I hope that you got this stuff. The Monroe Doctrine basically says for the European to leave America for the Americans, whatever that means. I don't know. Leave America for the Americans. I don't know. All I know is I got some superstar students behind me. I just want to tell you right there, Kenneth and Jada, Ratio and Race. Excellent behavior during my video. Now these guys have to come in and they got to get into video, of course, now too. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope I get more than 17 people to watch it. I'm out!